everyone, and welcome to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode number 63. And the title of this episode is No Matter Which Way We Turn, the Economic Collapse is Always in Front of Us. And, today it is all over the news. We have Obamagate, basically the Benghazi fiasco, the IRS fiasco that's going on, and the Associated Press phone call, wiretapping, spying on reporters and telling them, what to say and what to do. It really is an Obamagate, and they must be sitting there in the office sweating it out, going, crap, we need something to distract everyone and to get everyone's eyes off of us. So they have an agenda. That they are working towards getting us into war, preparing for this collapse that they know that's coming, preparing for the new system that they want to implement, and they don't care how they do it, how they get there, and they are going to proceed as planned, and we might see things happen sooner than later now because of what's happening. Do I personally think this is going to bring down the Obama administration? No, I think there's going to be a huge distraction, and people forget very quickly, and people will not remember what is going on, and their focus will be brought someplace else. And it reminds me of Lord of the Rings, when Frodo was trying to return the ring, and they had to get the massive eye to look someplace else. So they created a distraction, the king, and the eye turned and looked someplace else, so Frodo could get to the cave and throw the ring in. And it reminds me of this, where the eye of the country is looking at the Obama administration, and they need to turn the eye to someplace else, and they will do it. They're preparing for it, and it should happen very, very soon. Now, let's get started with the economic collapse news. And basically, as we know, unemployment is much higher than what the government is telling us. They're telling us it's around 7.5%, but Shadowstat.com is telling us it's more around 22-23%, because we have to remember they changed the calculation for unemployment, they changed it for GDP, they changed it for inflation. They keep changing it to make it fit what's going on in the economy today. But if we use the old equations and the old way of calculating all this, we can see the real story, which the people who are sleeping can't see. So basically, there was an article about 3 reasons you can't find a job. They all have one common factor, and it's basically government interference. And it goes on to say, finding a job in today's market is very difficult because of mismatch of skills, government regulations, and uncertainty in the market. And also, when you read that banks like HSBC is going to be laying off, whatever it was, 10,000 more jobs. You always see them laying off. Now, what about all those store closures, those thousands of stores? Where are all those workers going? But they keep telling us that unemployment is getting better. How? It makes no sense. Going off of this, we had a school district in Michigan fired all the teachers for the last month because they ran out of money. They couldn't pay the teachers and keep them on. So you're looking at all of those people who are not receiving any money. So when they talk about, everything is fine, how could this be? How can a district not have enough money to pay for the teachers? How could Detroit be on the verge, which I already think it's going to be in bankruptcy because it's a lot worse than they thought. Think about what's going on here. And I really do believe that we're going to see in the next school year, a lot more school districts saying we just don't have money. We're going to have to cut. I mean, even where I am right now, they're talking about the people who maintain the garden, the schools, and all that stuff. They're going to get rid of all those people and replace it with an outsourcing company because it will save them on overtime, it will save them on pensions, it will save them on health insurance. All that's cut out, and that's the first step that they do before they start really tightening more. They always go first to outsourcing to get rid of the pensions and the health care. Once they do that across the board, then they take it a step further going, okay, we're going to have to just get rid of the outsourcing. We just won't, the plants and grass, and we'll just grow. It doesn't matter. And this is how it always happens. Even in corporations, it happens this way. The first step is, let's outsource the IT department. Okay, we got rid of the pensions and the health plans. And then they take it a next step further. Okay, those outsourced companies, we can't pay you as much, so we need to work on a skeleton crew. And this is how it starts. Now, a funny story, it's not funny, but to me it makes me laugh. Pelosi saying that Obamacare largely responsible for bringing down the deficit. Is she kidding me? What's really coming down? There's a savings? I mean, come on. The Obamacare is going to blow the debt, the deficit, you name it, out of the water. There is no way. I don't know. It's amazing how they can use words and to their advantage, and people have no idea what they're talking about. So she goes on, and she's saying that she's reducing. I mean, the Obamacare is going to be reducing the deficit. Now, the deficit. Let's see. Basically, the deficit is each year a government takes in and spends money. The government takes in revenues or receipts through income taxes, social insurance taxes, etc. The government also spends money every year on a variety of different things, including Social Security, defense spending, blah, 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 blah. If the government spends more than it takes in over the course of 1 year, then it has run a deficit. A deficit applies to just 1 year. So if the government takes in $10 trillion but spends $13 trillion, basically they're running a $3 trillion deficit. And when the government runs a deficit, they must borrow the money to make up the difference. So when she's saying she's reducing the deficit, Obamacare is reducing the deficit. So let's say they reduce it from $3 trillion to $2 trillion. It doesn't matter. The debt is still being piled up. Instead of $3 trillion, it's only $2 trillion. That's just for the 1 year. What about the year after that? What about the year after that? So basically, if you look at the usdebtclock.org, the debt continually rises. You can reduce the deficit each year. If they say they're reducing the deficit $1 trillion each year, doesn't mean they're bringing it down $1 trillion. It just means for that specific time period, the deficit was only $1 trillion instead of $3 trillion. But they added $1 trillion to the debt. So they're not reducing anything. It keeps accumulating. So it's a fantastic play in words, and most people see, when they see deficit, they think, oh, they're reducing the debt. You see, it's all nice and good. All our debt's going down. But it isn't. It's BS the way they're explaining it. So let's move on here. Taiwan is sending warships, F-16s, to the escalated Philippine naval confrontation. Now, the Philippines is near North Korea, near China, near Japan, and we can see this whole thing. And again, we understand that the central bankers and the government need to get us into some type of war. We have Japan, we have North Korea, we have China, we have Iran, we have Syria, we have Russia, we have China. Did I say China? Well, I might have already said China. We're all starting together. And now the UK is also helping the United States with Syria, with the chemical weapons, and we agree with the United States, and now all of a sudden they're going to lend assistance. So you can see that this war is definitely being escalated, And they really need to move this thing forward to cover up, just like all the Obama gates, to cover up the economic collapse. And we also see that the State Department conducts secret visit with a death squad leader in Syria. Now, why are all, I mean, we know that we supply Al Qaeda there. We know that these are mercenaries. These aren't really Syrian people, and they're losing the battle over there. The Syrian army is pushing them back, and the chemical weapon thing didn't work out there. The humanitarian aid thing, the plea to American people didn't work. American people don't care. Israel tried bombing, provoking Syria. None of this is working. They can't get this war off the ground. They even tried to say with the Boston bombing, with Chechnya and the Islamic and Muslims, and they're trying to bring it all together, and they just can't get anything going. Nothing's working. So they are going to have to do something to really push this thing forward. And there is events coming on my site, thex22report.com. I put the potential false flags. We have one coming up in New York between July 1st and the July 30th. And if you haven't seen the posters yet, the posters, letting the New York people, they look pretty scary looking, these posters. We also have July 4th, Adam Kokesh marching on Washington with loaded weapons. And usually when we have some type of false flag, there is a drill going on at that time. I've been searching around, looking around for other drills that are happening, but we continually see news reports about cyber attacks. We see news reports about Iran preparing something, and we're just going to have to be ready because we know something is definitely coming. Now, Rand Paul accuses Obama of plotting with anti-American globalists to grab guns. Now, we have to remember, we have many bills waiting in the wings. We have the gun bill, the United States gun bill that they, with the registry and everything. We have CISPA, and we also have the UN Arms Treaty. The president said he will sign the UN Arms Treaty, but the Senate won't have it passed. So right now we have this all pending in the Senate area, which is amazing to me, because all we need is one event, and boom, look how horrific this is. Oh my God, we need to get these bills passed. Oh, just look at this. We have them right in the Senate ready to go. Here we go. Gun control bill, passed. UN Arms Treaty, passed. CISPA, President says I was going to veto it, but under these circumstances, I don't think we should veto this. We need to be secure. We need to protect our people, so I'm going to let this one pass. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, with all the events that happen because the American people beg for it, all of a sudden we have these bills passed, and everyone's sitting there scratching their heads. How did this happen? Because that is what they're doing. They're creating situations to get their agenda the way they want it. And there is so much going on. There are so many things happening that they definitely need to get and push this agenda forward. Now, there was an article that said terrorists super access to strike within U.S. And this goes on to say that Iran has given the go-ahead to operatives of 3 terrorist groups that have infiltrated the United States to carry out a mission, including what is expected to be a Mumbai-style attack on a hotel where innocent bystanders would be killed. So let's just get this straight. The United States has sanctions against Iran. Iran, let the inspectors in. They didn't see nuclear weapons, but we're going on with Israel saying that they have nuclear weapons, but they showed that they don't have nuclear weapons. But the U.S. lied to the American people, telling us that Saddam Hussein of Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, but we've never found weapons of mass destruction. The United States also tells that the Syrians are using chemical weapons on their people. The UN goes in and says, no, it was actually the rebel forces. which are employed by the United States, are the ones that use the chemical weapons. Iran hasn't started a war in 200 years, and the United States is in 74 countries and has started how many wars or drone strikes or anything like that. So I see a pattern going on here. The United States works with Al-Qaeda. Actually, it's CIA. They're telling us they killed Osama bin Laden, but they, to respect him, they dumped him out in sea, to respect his religion. All of a sudden, because he was the wrong person. That was not Osama bin Laden, and that's why they had to get rid of the body. I've never heard of anything so ridiculous in my life. Let's just use common sense on all this and say, okay, what is really going on here? Now they're going on to say, a full report with many details of the missions has been passed on to the U.S. officials. 3 targets have been chosen within America for imminent attack, and the terror teams have now cut communication with the operational center in Iran, a sign that they are moving ahead with the attacks, according to a high-level intelligence officer with the Islamic regime. So basically what they're telling us here is there's going to be a false flag coming. Come on. What is it going to be? Could be bombs all across the nation. It could be cyber attack with bombs also. But we know something is definitely coming. They're letting us know with these articles because they light the feed a little bit at a time to get people used to the idea. Oh, Islamic Iran, yes, because now, it was North Korea doing the cyber attacks. It was the Chinese doing the cyber attacks. Now, Iran-based hackers traced to the cyber attacks on U.S. companies. So, a previously unknown hacking group believed to be based in Iran has started cyber attacks inside the U.S., according to Mandiant Corp, a security company that's linked to Chinese army to similar activities. So the Iranian group emerged within the last 6 months and has infiltrated the networks of at least one U.S. corporation. You started to see the Iranians get more active. We've got at least one case where we think it's Iran, and we think what they are doing is trying to gain some experience on live networks. So basically, what they're telling us here is we are going to set up this next event, and we're letting you know by that other article and what the U.S. officials are saying that Iran is planning something. We think Iran is, they're part of this cyber attack scheme, and they're letting us know that we are planning this event. It's coming very soon. We already know who it is. And they keep dropping little breadcrumbs to let everyone know what's going to happen. And like I said in my other reports, and if you're new to this cyber attack is going to be the perfect storm of events. And what I mean by this is with a cyber attack, because the DHS and many other governmental officials have told us that the power grid, water supply, infrastructure, banks, other corporations, government offices are susceptible to these cyber attacks. And I do believe, and I know I said this before, but those people who are new, in 2003 we had that East Coast power outage. That was a test for this. And there was an article saying that if they take out a transformer someplace, it will take 6 to 9 months or so to get it up and running. If and when this event hits, and this cyber attack, this perfect storm of events hits, it will put all of us into darkness for at least 2 to 3 weeks. This will create the atmosphere to do many different things. The government to declare martial law. Boom, done. To deploy DHS, lockdown mode. Everyone stay in your homes. We will see people who are hungry go rioting. People who are now, after week 1, starting to get scared. When you hear news, which, those people that have battery powered radios, hear news, it was Iran. It was Iran. People are going to get angry. When people learn that their money was siphoned off and their accounts are showing zero, they are going to get angry. When people can't feed their children or have water or sewer, people are going to get angry. This will allow the government, the central bankers, the perfect opportunity to, one, declare martial law, deploy DHS, lockdown. And if they can, if they haven't done already, go door to door to try to get everyone's gun for everyone's safety. Because what's going on, we want you to be safe. We don't, just in case you start rioting or something, we need to take your weapons away. It will bring us into war with Iran. Everyone, the American people, Congress will have no problem declaring war. The economic collapse will be covered up because they have Iran to blame. They took the money. They infected the banks with malware, worms, viruses that crippled the financial system, and that's why we're having this collapse. And this will be the beginning of what everyone has been talking about with FEMA camps, with holding on to gold and silver, with bartering, with keeping food in your house, with having water, having medical supplies, having weapons to protect your family. This is what everyone has been talking about. And this is where it all comes into play. Now, there was an interesting article about the rise of the Obama Reich. And this is a very interesting article. I put it on the x22report.com. If you look on the right-hand side articles, it's under police state, under articles, and it's comparing DHS to the Hitler Youth. And I've gone over this before, and it goes through many different facts between Hitler's Gestapo, the Obama Gestapo, and it's basically going through it saying, back in Hitler's Gestapo, they went around telling everyone, if you see something, say something. We already have this where Janet Napolitano is coming out and saying, if you see something, say something. So this is a very good article. If you haven't read it, go ahead and go read it. And just for example, here's one part. Basically, what Janet Napolitano says, if you see something, say something campaign, originally implemented by New York City's Metropolitan Transportation Authority and now licensed to DHS for a nationwide campaign, is a simple and effective program to engage the public and key frontline employees to identify and report indicators of terrorism, crime, and other threats to the proper transportation and law enforcement authorities. So basically, if you read this article, they go through it step by step, showing you exactly how it creeps up on you, where certain laws and certain things they implement happen so slowly that people don't realize it. Just like in 2011, actually go further back, all the executive orders from every single president, because they knew that the fiat system would only last a certain time, so slowly, each time a new president came in, they issued all these executive orders, and the executive orders, rode on the existing executive orders, and they just kept on adding to it throughout time. During 9/11, they implemented the Patriot Act. They scared people half to death, and they implemented the Patriot Act. During World War II, we are still in a state of war. Obama just um, re-signed that. The NDAA was passed without even people knowing about it during Christmas, that if you're suspected to be a terrorist, that they can throw you into prison without due process. Nobody has a problem with the exception rule to the Miranda rights. We can see all of this happening and no one is paying attention, especially our government officials. They don't even read half the crap that comes across their desk. They just approve it. And by doing that, they have given the government, the Obama administration, all of this power and a force that has nothing to do with the military. It's his own private army. That's why they're purchasing billions of rounds, tanks, in charge of the internet, in charge of the mobile kill switch, in charge of basically almost everything. Think about what DHS does now. Immigration, internet, police working with local police enforcement. They have their hands in every aspect of the country, of everything, within the borders of the United States. And this has nothing to do with the military, with the National Guard. It is it's like a private army that Obama initialized and set up. And it's only here for one reason: to spy on and control Americans. And this is what the true Homeland Security is all about. Because even if you go to their website, they're saying, oh, we're tracking terrorists. Their alert systems don't work. Nothing works. You know, they don't like to answer about the billions of rounds that they're purchasing. And it seems like they're answerable to no one whatsoever. Listen, everyone, we know something's coming. We know it's coming soon. We know there's an event that's just right on the horizon. We feel it, we know it, we see it. It is coming. Just you need to be ready for it, whatever it's going to be. If the lights go out tomorrow, you know why. You know what to do. You're already prepared. Yes, gold and silver is important for all those people that are worried about the financial aspect, but I believe that we're going to see other things before that, and gold and silver will have their place. I have gold and silver, and there will be a time for that. But first, your other prep needs are food, water, weapons, medical supplies, batteries, radio, lights, some type of sewer treatment where you can, throw something in the toilet or do something in the backyard or someplace. And anything else that I forgot, just comment and let people know what else we need to do. And we definitely need to be ready for this. Listen, everyone, thank you. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks.